on the trail, you encounter all sorts of different surfaces underfoot, from soil to grass to sand to bedrock. But there's one surface that demands more respect than others, and that's chalk. But chalk's reputation as a bit of a slippery character when wet is a little bit misleading. So in this iteration of Trailmaster, we're going to look at different chalk conditions and what you need to look out for. Now, before we get into this good chalk, bad chalk business, I should stress that the very nature of chalk, being a densely packed, generally smooth and super hard surface, means that you should always be a little wary when walking on it in the wet. And you should also show it respect, but you shouldn't fear it or be overcautious if you know what to look for. You see, many people just see chalk and assume it's going to be ice rink slippery, which is a mistake. The simplest and easiest way to tell if the chalk that you're approaching is likely to be treacherous is to look at the colour. Hang on a minute, I hear you all cry, it's chalk, it's going to be white. Not so, concerned viewer, not so. The chalk you encounter on the trail will vary in consistency and purity. If it's a little grey-brown, then the chalk is mixing with soil, even though the chalk itself may still be predominant. In this case, the soil colouring the chalk will more often than not be making the surface more gritty, and the chalk is likely to be looser, which adds to the grip. So on the whole, not a lot to worry about with greyish-brownish chalk, assuming that you're still approaching it with a sense of caution. Likewise, those bands of pure white chalk are also, generally speaking, safe. The surface is clean given its pure white colour, and while I'd never say throw caution to the wind, you can generally expect to have some grip because the surface is clean. The colour you need to look out for in chalk on the trail and to avoid underfoot is green. This is where chalk deserves its reputation for slipperiness, because the green you see is a thin coating of an algae-like substance, and this really will have you slipping around like some kind of cartoon animal. Now, we have tried researching to find out what this green substance actually is, but without any luck. But really, truly, it doesn't matter what it is. All that matters is that it's slippery as f***. The combination of the hard-packed chalk and this organic covering truly do make the trails lethal, especially on descents, so it's really important to keep a laser focus on the colour and condition of the trail when you're walking. You're most likely to encounter green chalk in deeply shaded areas or north-facing trails where there's little airflow and a lot of moisture, rather like where I am at the moment. Although I have to say, having trudged up a very steep, very long hill with all the camera gear, all the chalk that we found is rather beautifully white. Chalk is also more likely to become exposed from under topsoil or grass where there's a high footfall. So very popular routes might see sections where there's a lot of chalk exposure, more so than remote, lightly used paths. So to recap, grey or brownish coloured chalk means that there's some soil in there somewhere, and that means there's likely to be more of a gritty surface and some grip, although still approach with care. Pure white chalky trails usually mean that the chalk is clean and without any organic covering, so again, approach with care, but you should have some grip as long as you're placing your feet well. If it's green, show the trail the utmost respect. Try to avoid stepping on green chalk, especially when descending, and if you're faced with a large band of hard, smooth green chalk and the trail is wet, find another way around. Don't risk it. As with all potentially slippery surfaces, chalk or otherwise, making sure your centre of gravity is right is very important. So if you're descending and you suspect the trail may be slippery, lean forwards, as this will put your weight over your feet. There are many good aspects of chalk, not least the fact that it's firm underfoot, so try not to turn it into your arch nemesis. As long as you have a healthy respect for it in any condition and adopt a zero tolerance approach to green chalk, then you should always remain the right way up.